Good evening. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. It's wonderful to see a room full of people. And I'm Teresa MacDonald. This is our first public meeting, really, since about 2018, possibly. I'm not sure if we had one in 2019, but thank you all so much for coming out, and I'm not going to take a lot of your time. We'll get straight on to the city's presentation with the Sugar Creek corridor update, and we'll have plenty of time for questions and some discussion after that, and a few more announcements. We've got some exciting stuff coming up in Derita. So thank you very much. Without further ado, I'll present Monica and Aisha, and they can introduce themselves.
Well, first, thank you for having us. My name is Monica Carney-Holmes. And
hi, Aisha Sabor.
And we are part of the Corridors core team. We'll have a slide that kind of introduces our team structure. And we're actually going to tag team this a little bit. So Aisha will come up and give some of the slides, and then I'll kick it off. So we're here tonight to give you an update on the Sugar Creek Corridor and the Corridors of Opportunity program. The Corridors of Opportunity program started in 2020, and it is about building legacy and prosperity in 6 corridors in Charlotte. Those include, obviously, the one you're sitting in right now, West Sugar Creek, Albemarle, North Tryon, North Graham, Wilkinson and Freedom, West Boulevard, and Beatty's Ford, Rosel's Ferry. Those 6 corridors have historically been underinvested in, and this program is really a city's commitment to equitably investing in these corridors with the goal of creating opportunities for generational wealth building, and again, that legacy and prosperity for people who live in them. So our team was really rebuilt in spring of last year. So I can't believe it's been since I started in May on Corridors of Opportunity. Aisha was the second person to join me in July. And then we had Erin Gillespie, who had previously been working on corridors, but in a role in economic development. She switched over to our team this fall. Walter Blackman came this fall also, and then Robin Stewart, who I guess he technically predates me. He's our leader on loan from Bank of America, he's actually wrapping up his time with the city. So the 5 of us are committed to Corridors of Opportunity and really seeing out the strategy and implementation of all the things that you will see tonight. You are going to say there's no way that you guys can do all of those things. We cannot do all of these things. So just know you'll see once we get into the framework, there's a whole deep bench behind us in multiple city departments kind of helping to put all the pieces together and build out the program. So our corridors framework is built on the Charlotte Future 2040 plan. Raise your hand if you engaged at all around the Charlotte Future 2040 plan. Okay, so some people in the room, that's great. It was adopted in June of 2021, and it was really the vision for our city as a whole. So in that 2040 plan, there were 10 goals laid out for our city to work towards in our policy and in our action around how we build out our city. The Corridors team, we have taken 6 of those goals, which really target how we invest strategically in these corridors and their adjacent neighborhoods. So really quickly, these align directly to the Charlotte Future 2040 plan. You can hold it here for a second because I'm just gonna go through all 6. We have housing access for all, which is really about just what it says it is. Can people access housing? What does that housing look like? What are the continuum of housing options that we need, from everyone who might be unhoused to people who might not be able to afford the house that they live in, and do we have options for all of the in-between? Safe, healthy, and active communities, that's really built around how we feel safety-wise? What do the numbers actually look like? Do we have the ability to have a built environment that feels safe? And do we have the connectivity? There's also a lot of touch points with public health in this one. There's a direct correlation to public safety and public health. And so this work stream kind of covers those areas. Diverse and resilient economic opportunity. That's all about workforce development, jobs, building small business. Integrated natural and built environment. That's focused on our tree canopy, focused on our watershed, focused on how we build out our city. Then you have safe and equitable mobility. That's how we move through the city. So do we have transportation choices and options? And then last but not least, retain culture and identity, which really I think gets to the heart of every neighborhood and every corridor, which is how do we both preserve these corridors while they're experiencing growth, and how do we retain a sense of belonging for people who live there currently and for people who also are moving in that is authentic and unique to that place and neighborhood. So just to show you how each of the 6 of those transpire into how we're doing the work. So we have people doing the work across all 6 of those themes. So we have more than 3 departments in every single theme working together to put solutions on the table and to complete and implement the things that are your priorities and the things that we are hearing from the community as part of our, what we call playbooks and our efforts in community engagement efforts. So it's really important tonight as we start to talk to you about some of the things that we're putting into implementation in the Sugar Creek corridor, that you let us know feedback on how are we doing and how we can engage either some of our work streams more thoroughly, or maybe we need to tweak something in our approaches. So this slide, you cannot read any of this, and that is okay, because this slide is to show you that we have a lot of active things moving in all 6 corridors. So we're gonna really focus in on Sugar Creek tonight and the specific things we're doing here. But just know that we are moving into implementation projects in all 6 corridors. So we started in Beatty's Ford and West Boulevard in 2020, 2021. Sugar Creek and Albemarle have really gotten going this year. Then we have North Tryon, North Graham. We're just finishing up that playbook. It's going to be released in the next couple of weeks. So I know there's some intersection. Sugar Creek and North Tryon, North Graham basically touch each other where those geographies are. So stay tuned for that if you're interested in seeing what is coming out of the North Tryon, North Graham projects. And then we'll be kicking off this summer Freedom and Wilkinson and our playbook and engagement work there. So it looks light there for right now because that's the corridor that we're just getting ready to dive into.
I see you taking pictures. This page is in this book.
Yes. Yeah, same page in the year in review document that you can take off your table. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, I should also mention, so I should just take that time. This year in review document, it goes over all the corridors, but the stuff that you've seen up to this point, most of that is covered in this year in review. And then the stuff that is covered on the Sugar Creek corridor specifically, we have one-page documents that go over the summation of those things that will pass out that really summarizes some of the things that are ongoing in Sugar Creek. So with that, I am going to just quickly turn it over to, oh, no, I'm going to do this, and then we'll switch later. Yeah, so I just wanted to, who participated in the Sugar Creek Corridor Playbook work over the past 18 months to 2 years? Okay, so good. Some people in the room did that. So just to know, give a little history of how we got to where we are today. So in 2020, right before COVID, we started a Sugar Creek design sprint focused on the intersection of 85 and Sugar Creek. The purpose of that design sprint was we knew it was a violent crime hotspot. It was one of the top 2 or 3 in the city, not due to the neighborhood surrounding it, due to transactional crime happening on the interstate, right? So it was interstate-based traffic, basically. So that design sprint said, we know that there is an issue in question. We know that there's something that we want to put resources towards and solve. What are the systemic things that we can look at, the root cause, and then how can we tackle it? Through that design sprint, one of the major recommendations was to say, hey, let's not just look at the intersection, let's take a look at the whole corridor from North Tryon to Mallard Creek Church Road and really look at how all of the pieces work together. You guys had really been advocating in Derita for a long time to say, hey, we want to take a look at a small area plan. At that time, we weren't really doing small area plans as a city because the comprehensive plan was going on. So we use the playbook process to broaden our view and to say how should we focus city resources. So that work took place from 2021 into 2022, with it really wrapping up the engagement part in late fall 2021, and then the document being released in 2022. So just a summary of the things that we heard loud and clear from those efforts over the 2.5, 3 years. Or number one, same thing, we have to reduce the violent crime at the interchange because it's having an impact on perception in adjacent communities that actually were very strong and doing really well. We have to continue to build a shared sense of community. We have to support small businesses and businesses that are locating in the corridor and provide them the resources and tools that they need to be successful. We have to have viable transportation and mobility options. So there was a lot of survey responses and demand for walking, for biking, for better transit options, as well as how do we reduce the traffic. So we need to take a closer look at that. We want to encourage walkable development and improve open space. So that's how we build the community. And then last but not least, we want to make sure that while we're doing all these top things, that we are incorporating strategies for people who have been here a long time to enjoy these investments and not be displaced or feel like they are being displaced, right? So these are the things that we have prioritized and that we looked at the strategies to address them as for the things that we are moving forward with. So the things that we are moving forward with currently, and this is not a stop sign end, there will be continuing things to be added, are really broken up, and I just did a brush in the 6 categories so that you could see that it aligns to the same 6 themes that I showed you earlier. So we are looking at, for housing access for all, how can we target people who are already doing the good work at the intersection of Sugar Creek and 85 and provide them with resources to help people who are underhoused at the interchange. So what kind of supportive care can we do there? We have staying in place at work, both in Hidden Valley as one of the pilot neighborhoods. We are working on how we can expand those tools to include other communities. So that is to come, news to come on that. We just launched House Charlotte Plus, which this is being run by our Housing and Neighborhood Services Department, but with additional funds from Corridors of Opportunity, which gives additional resources for a housing down payment in corridors geographies. So I highly recommend you check out that. It's upwards of $80,000 in assistance for down payment for home ownership in our areas of influence for corridors. Under diverse and resilient, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into several of these. So with diverse and resilient economic opportunity, we are currently working to build a business district organization, which Aisha's been heading up, and she's going to speak to that. We've increased the amount of facade matching grants, so that's how we support small businesses for this corridor. So we're putting more resources towards that to provide small businesses the tools that they need. We're getting ready to launch in spring, summer an opportunity hub, which I'll dive deeper into that. And then I'm going to dive deeper into Safe Biz also, which is under our Safe, Active, and Healthy Community. And also we have security grants, which we also have amplified funding for in this corridor. So if you invest $500 in security, then we match that. Safe and equitable mobility, I will also dive a little bit deeper into the RAISE grant that we just submitted this week for almost $17 million worth of transportation improvements in this corridor. We have a street lighting project that is getting ready to start construction, knock on wood. There's a shortage of poles right now, so you're seeing a big lag of transportation projects due to a shortage of light poles. We also have several pedestrian crossings getting ready to go into design and then into construction. And we have some funding reserved. These last two, we have funding reserved for, with those transportation projects, some public space enhancement and some placemaking projects that will come with that, which will include community engagement and a voice at the table as to what that looks and feels like. So when those projects, those transportation projects become ready, we will also include you guys in that discussion around what that looks like. So let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into several of these. I'm going to turn it over to Aisha to go over just our asset building piece in the Business Association.
Good evening, everyone. Good to be here. I know some of you from my time in Housing and Neighborhood Services as the Northwest Community Engagement Liaison, and so I'm now on the Corridors of Opportunity team as a Community Engagement Manager. So good to see some of you and to see some new faces. We are doing a lot of work in Sugar Creek right now, and really we are looking into asset mapping, and our investments are very much rooted in our community engagement efforts. So Monica talked a little bit about some of the investments that are underway, but just to name them a little bit deeper, we've launched a Safe Biz CLT program, which is a camera pilot program with the businesses in the Sugar Creek corridor, and it's tied into our real-time crime center. So really an opportunity for the businesses to connect more directly with our emergency response teams. We have Safe Charlotte grants, which were grants awarded through the city for local nonprofit and grassroots organizations to carry out capacity building work. There's after-school programs that came through those grants. There are a number of neighborhood-based projects that were supported through Safe Charlotte grants. We're also doing some targeted maintenance and cleanup in the corridor. We're doing a mowing initiative that takes place every few weeks in the corridor, and we're also coordinating cleanups with our Keep Charlotte Beautiful program through Housing and Neighborhood Services to do community cleanups. I think some of you were at the one that we did a few months back, and we're going to continue to do that as well. We recently, like Monica mentioned, and she'll talk about in a little bit too, we applied for a federal grant for a mobility project in the Sugar Creek corridor, which will increase our mobility options. And we are working with business owners in the corridor to organize a Sugar Creek Business Association, which has been pretty successful so far. So just some projects underway. So the Sugar Creek Business Association, they have, back in July, they started talking about really getting organized. And so they have had 2 successful meetings so far. They meet every other month, and they are taking the steps to formalize their nonprofit. And really working on bylaws and a vision for what the Business Association is going to do. And they are really leaving the opportunity for expansion open. And so the business owners are very interested in having new members. And so wanted to bring this all to you as well. If you're interested in working with the Sugar Creek Business Association, they are meeting again on March 16th at 11 a.m. at Northside Baptist. And so they're really just working on collaborating together, targeting problems that they are having with each other, and just functioning as a formal business organization. So they are making progress towards that. Again, we are having ongoing litter cleanups in Sugar Creek, and we're also doing a mowing initiative, as I mentioned before, and we're doing the mowing in the corridor every couple of weeks. So. Again, we had a partnership with Keep Charlotte Beautiful where we did a neighborhood cleanup, and we are planning to do another one in another 3 months. I do them quarterly. Yeah, so another thing we touched on before, so Safe Biz CLT, that camera pilot program, is a partnership with Duke Energy to install and configure cameras in participating businesses along Sugar Creek. We have around 12 businesses who are participating so far. And so after installation, public safety agencies will be able to access the video through the CMPD Real-Time Crime Center. And so we have 3 fully installed so far. This is a one-pager from Safe Biz. So our Safe Charlotte grants that I talked about a little bit were awarded to grassroots organizations. Those organizations are MECED, Heal Charlotte, and DigiBridge. They are providing free after-school program for up to 180 6th and 8th graders. DigiBridge is focused on STEM education. Heal Charlotte is focused on reducing violence, and MECED is providing work-based learning experiences at local businesses. Rebuilding Together also received a Safe Charlotte grant. They're partnering with DigiBridge and She Built This City, and they are working on critical home repair projects. All right, and I'm going to turn it back over to Monica.
Okay, so now we'll just deep dive into some of the transportation projects so that you can get a little bit more details about what our RAISE grant was. Flip this slide. Oh, oops, you skipped one. Okay, so we mentioned RAISE, which is an acronym, and I'm not going to get what it all stands for right. It's like a Rebuilding America in something equitable, whatever. RAISE is what everybody knows it as. And just to put that into perspective, if you follow national politics at all, basically the infrastructure bill passed a couple years ago. There's a huge federal influx of dollars into municipalities to build more infrastructure. All of that is coming through grant opportunities. So it's not like they just wrote a big check to Charlotte and now somebody gets to figure out like where it goes. It basically is a whole suite of grants that each individual municipality applies for. So we are in our 2nd year of this increased funding. The RAISE grant program is basically the marquee transportation program for the federal government. So when you see flashy transportation projects, I personally get very excited about them. A lot of them are the ones that are getting funded by the RAISE program. RAISE prioritizes equitable investment, so places that have been underinvested in transportation historically now get priority in RAISE with the current administration, their equity framework. So just to put it into perspective, the types of projects that are getting funded are ones that really invest heavily in connecting people to opportunity. So our project, we actually just turned it in on Monday afternoon, is in the Sugar Creek corridor. And what the project will do is it will connect the Sugar Creek Light Rail Station to the Mallard Creek and Sugar Creek intersection with 3 what we call mobility hubs, which are basically very nice 21st century bus stops that have amenity plus. So they have scooters, bikes, buses, and on-demand transportation, so Uber, Lyft, etc. That frequency of that route will occur every 15 minutes in a new CATS route that doesn't currently exist today. So it would be a new added route that goes up and down the Sugar Creek corridor every 15 minutes. In addition to that, the project included all the sidewalk gaps on the east side of Sugar Creek Road, which are already funded, but we use them as the match. So we also will be building from the Roman to Rumpel Road. We'll be building a new sidewalk that is separated from traffic. So there will be an 8-foot planting strip and then a 6-foot sidewalk that will connect into Derita and into kind of like the main part of Derita, right? So from the Roman to Rumpel Road. There also are 2 pedestrian crossings, so where you press the button, a stoplight stops, and you can safely cross the street, included in the project. So it's very exciting. The last component of the project is we're actually rebuilding sidewalks and access into the Sugar Creek Recreation Center. It might not affect those in Derita that much, but we heard loud and clear that that recreation center is going a little bit underutilized because people do not feel like it's safe to be able to walk there and access it. So we partnered with the county, and we'll be including better connections to that recreation center, as well as worked with them on getting the whole frontage for a multi-use path that will go all the way from Merlane to the Sugar Creek Light Rail Station. So there will be an 8-foot planting strip and a 12-foot path all the way from Merlane, where the Family Dollar is, to the Sugar Creek Light Rail Station.
What recreational center?
Sugar Creek Recreation Center on the, it's on the left if you're coming from the light rail.
The park or the?
There's a recreation center in the park also, yeah. It's the park, and then there's a recreation center there that provides services. There's not a very accessible sidewalk that gets you from Sugar Creek, the road, to Sugar Creek, the recreation center and park. So there's one from the south, I believe, but not one from the north, basically. If that makes sense. So we have a lot of big steps involved. Whether or not we get the raised grant, we will be building the sidewalk from the Roman to Rumpel Road. That is already committed dollars coming from the Corridors of Opportunity funding. So we are getting ready to start the design phase of that. We're also, as I mentioned, we've already designed and are getting ready to start the construction phase of all new street lighting on Sugar Creek Road from Mallard Creek all the way down, I have the map next, all the way down to Tryon, and then also on equipment in Reagan Drive. And we have funding also for the pedestrian crossings at Merlane Drive and Softly Road, which is south of here. If we get the grant, it will include one on the north side as well, at Mallard Creek, just south of Mallard Creek for you guys. This is a show of where the street lighting is. So you can see from Mallard Creek down to North Tryon there, and then where the Reagan and equipment are that east-west line. That's where the street lighting is getting ready to go in. I failed to mention with the RAISE grant application, Duke Energy was also one of our partners and contributors on the grant, and they will be adding innovative street lighting. If we are awarded the grant, we will also have cutting-edge street lighting here that actually gets brighter when somebody walks by. It has the ability to notify the crew when the light bulb goes out. So really exciting things for keeping it safer, well-lit, and something new that this corridor will have that hopefully will be done in other corridors as well following its success. So any questions on that transportation piece before I kind of move on into the Opportunity Hub?
I have a question. If you can go back, I saw the brownish, yellowish circles. So I'm seeing them, and then I see the purple stripe go all the way up to Mallard Creek at Nevin. That does include that. So that strip is also going to include the lighting upgrades as well, or just those yellow dots?
No. The lighting is the purple and the black.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, the street lighting is all of Sugar Creek. Yeah, the yellow dots are the crossings.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, so another project that we are getting ready to launch across all the corridors is what we are calling Opportunity Hubs. These are partnership opportunities with people who have physical locations in the corridors, in each corridor, to be our partner to help us build a space that is a resource center for jobs, small businesses, and entrepreneurs. So you can see here we'll have a funding opportunity of $3 million up to $500,000 in each corridor to have a physical location hub with that will serve small businesses, entrepreneurs, people seeking jobs, training resources, and then employers seeking employees. So I'm very excited. I think we've already had some conversations in the Sugar Creek corridor with people who are interested in being our partner in this opportunity, but we want to make sure you guys are aware of it, because when it comes out, we would love to have grassroots local organizations serve as the hub and as a sponsor for this opportunity and for the funding. So also in this corridor, which goes back to the playbook and the draft sprint report, is that We just wanted everybody to be aware, we have not forgotten about all of the work that we've done for the past 3 years. We are actively looking at ways to reduce the number of hotel rooms on the open market at the Sugar Creek interchange. So that requires a lot of creativity, a lot of pursuit of different options, and I just want to make sure everybody knows that it has not gotten forgotten. We are actively working on it. All options are on the table, whether that means partnerships, whether that means redevelopment. We are actively pursuing and looking at what those things might look like. So I put this map in here as a draft, but basically, how can we create a neighborhood community center at the interchange, which is what we have heard loud and clear from both the west side and the east side of the interchange and the businesses located at the interchange. So,
How do you propose to get rid of the hotel?
well, we are actively looking at, do we approach people to buy them? Do we actively buy them? Do we work with partners that might provide resources in them? So we have conversations weekly on how we can best mitigate that. We are putting all the hotels into buckets, which is the work we're doing, which is basically ones that are successful and are potentially national flags, that have certain standards in place, that are not taking cash, but that are kind of have good business practices. That's one category. There's a category of hotels that's basically the buildings are in great condition. They potentially, they might need a new operator or might be able to provide a social services lens to them. And then the third are the category of hotels where they're in terrible shape and they need to be redeveloped, basically. So there's kind of 3 categories, and we're taking each one case by case and examining which bucket do they look like. And it's going to take a lot of partnerships to make a transformation happen. But I don't want to leave it as like the elephant in the room, because we've heard from y'all loud and clear over a long period of time on both sides that that is a focus.
Yeah, I want to jump in and support Monica really quickly on this. There is a very distinct plan that's well developed for this area, and she can't disclose too much right now, right? Because we can't sort of show our cards, but just really trust and believe that we're actively working on this, and this is something that Monica and her team and the rest of staff is very focused on. So although we can't give away so much detail, you'll hear more and more as months come on as we make active steps.
Yes, ma'am.
In total, how many hotels are we talking about?
So our market demand, there are 1,215 rooms at the intersection, and this information is in the playbook, but you have to read, very detailed and understand. So there's 1,215 rooms at the intersection. If it were a perfect world, there's enough demand, meaning like people who actually want to use hotels because they need a place to sleep for the night. There's about 700 or so is the right number. So what you're looking at is you have an oversupply of about 500. So that's about 3 to 4 hotels to make a big dent in the number. So that's the number that we're really trying to work towards. It's a lot of work, because in all of these scenarios, you have to really understand how many people live at a hotel? What is the hotel being used for? Who owns it? How do they want to sell it? Is there a service provider who is interested in it? Is there, so there's all these scenarios. We have a target list of 5 or 6 that are where there's the most service calls for the police. So we're trying to take all of those things and take them into account when figuring out like which ones we approach. I mean, honestly, we have had conversations with almost every hotel owner, if not within the past few months, over time, and we could dive into kind of each one as to what's going on there. But also it's complicated because the market's constantly changing. So you have a lot of people making a lot of money, honestly, And so we have to really motivate them to move on, make money elsewhere.
How many hotels, as a general, how many hotels are we talking about?
We would like to find partners or take down 3 or 4. 500 hotel rooms is the goal, to get rid of off the hotel market. So that's about 3 or 4. Each one is about in between 100 and 150 rooms. Some are bigger, some are smaller.
Do you guys worry about that contributing to the homelessness?
Well, that's one thing we have to take into like very serious consideration, because we would never want to actively pursue doing something that we did not have full wraparound resources around to provide a structure in place so that it did not create more homeless issues. So we have to work, the more serious we get about it, the more we have to put into place, like, what are the right partnerships? There are people doing excellent work at the interchange, and so we've been having close conversations with them about what does it mean if we start really looking at hotels. What are their roles in that? What does that mean? How do we have that conversation? How can we work together? And then what do they think about that? So I think we are trying to take all of those very seriously, that there's real humans, and I mean, these are people with lots of different stories and lives and all of those things, and that is like something we take it very seriously, basically, that like we cannot act without having a full picture of knowing all of those things.
So Monica, it might be beneficial, because I've got a couple of questions for you to talk about the total number of hotels in the corridor here.
Yeah.
And then how many, if you mentioned the number of rooms, but the number of hotels, the actual number, and then the number that we are targeting.
Yeah.
To sort of take out of the marketplace.
Yeah, so there are 12, 13 hotels, depending on how you count them. There are some that are like shared ownership, but different names. So 12 or 13 hotels total. There are the 1,215 rooms, which that includes some of the hotels that are a little bit like, that's within like a mile and a half. So some of them are not right at the intersection. They're like a little bit down on Reagan and Equipment. So the 3 to 4, it would be the ideal number that we would target to take off the market. But again, we take it seriously in that, you know, how we do that is more complicated than it seems to be. But that would be the goal, the ideal goal. It's also that's not a small amount of money. So to be really honest, there's a lot of, you know, people are making money, you know. Huh? The hotel owners. Yeah. Well, that too, probably. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. No. 100%. Right. On the people or on the hotel owner? I mean, we're investigating all options. I'll be very honest. I mean, there is not a rock unturned.
5 years ago, meeting right here in this church.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a member. They said they were going to buy 4 hotels down there. They were the main ones. They were going to make them off the face of the earth, and they're still down there.
Who said that?
City council members was here, and they promised they were going to take care of that problem. The city police was here. They were going to take care of the problem. They were going to do this, they were going to do that. Ain't nobody done that.
Yeah, it's gotten worse. Yeah. No, I understand. Mm.
I walk my dog every day. I've been retired since 2015. And every day, you walk down the street, you find drug deals, you find condoms in the street, and everything else down there. And I gotta be careful what my dog sniffs or gets close to, because I don't want him to don't want myself stuff.
Right. I mean, I hear you, I understand. And I mean, I want to be as transparent as possible. We are working as hard as we can. It's very hard work. My apologies for anyone who promised you that they were going to go immediately and buy 4 hotels, you know, 4 years ago. Yeah, I just want to be very clear with you. I am not promising that we're going to go buy 4 hotels tomorrow because it's very complicated, tough work. We are working hard at a strategy of how to get there. It's not going to take 3 months, 6 months. It's going to take longer because of people living in them. We have to make sure that people have resources. There's also the question of even if you buy one, then what is next? There's a lot of steps in place, and our goal is to put the best plan forward and start acting on it. There's been a lot of talk over the 2.5 years that I've been involved in the corridor, and I am very invested in seeing things happen. So whatever it takes to start moving the needle, we are here to try to do that. I mean, right.
You're not gonna stop.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's heard.
This has been going on, I've been out here since 1970. 60.
Yeah.
And it's been going on the whole time. We keep hearing, we're working with them, they're gonna clean this up, we're making an effort to clean it up. And it's getting worse.
Right. No, I hear you. That's why we're trying to categorize them and figure out what are the tactics we need to use for each category. Because what can't happen is we work to get rid of some and they're still doing practices like that and we have the same issues happening. So, I mean, I hear you. No,
That's gonna be the secret by the hour, because that's
Right.
exactly what's happening.
right. And that's why we need to work with some of the national flags, because we need to understand what their policies are, because when I say national flags, I mean a hotel that is under, the Hilton, one of their, I wasn't sure if everybody understood that term, but basically, they have standards, and we need to hold them accountable, that if people are operating and not meeting those standards, then we need to have a conversation about that too, but. Yes, sir.
The big item between 3 blocks down here of Wales, Francis, and Dutchess Street.
Okay,
That neighborhood, I live in that neighborhood. And as people move out, die, move out, whatever, the corporations are buying homes. And they're putting in rental people, okay? And those rental folks are drug dealers and whatever, and they do not keep the house up.
right,
And we move one out, everybody every 6 months, they trade the people. And they just put one drug dealer for another.
Well, I can tell you, that's happening around Howard City.
Yeah.
But what neighborhoods are doing, they're coming together and they're creating neighborhood associations to fight that.
Yeah.
So you, your neighbors, everyone, your whole block, because our community did it. And so to be able to protect your property values and to make sure that you have people coming in and making smart investments, y'all have to come together as a community and fight that with the
When
city.
the house comes on the market, the corporation buys the house, bam, just like.
right, right,
You guys have something
Right.
in place, like a neighborhood association or like a historical neighborhood is doing.
Yeah.
They're doing that, so they have covenants or bylaws in place to avoid that from happening. They're doing it in Howie Acres, they're doing it over there in Avalon, they're doing it over there in your neighborhood. So I just want to let you know that this happening is an issue across the city, but the communities need to come together and create laws, bylaws, and paperwork to avoid that from happening.
And in addition to that, I just want to add that I want to be clear that the city does not have any mandate or jurisdiction.
Y'all should.
I don't, and that's in Raleigh. It actually has nothing to do with the council. It's dictated by Raleigh and the General Assembly. So what we have been doing as a city is we've actually been holding different workshops for neighborhoods and neighborhood associations such as yourselves to understand what you can do, right?
Yeah.
As an association, as a neighborhood to come together that we don't, unfortunately, right, wrong, or different, we're handcuffed by Raleigh in terms of what we can do at a state level. We're fighting that, we're up there all the time. But there are some things that you can do, as was just mentioned, as from an association perspective. And we've actually put together a pretty
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you could possibly lose your house or be
Yeah.
fined.
Yeah, you would be prosecuted, you would have a lawyer, yeah.
We have bad penalties, so we sometimes don't know the power we have as people. We always just want to pass it off to someone else. So we have a lot of power amongst us as well. I'm a newbie.
Yeah.
What she just said, though, I mean, she spoke all, she's right. Karen is right too. The neighborhood that I live in is a perfect example. I'm not saying we're a perfect community, but we work together. You have to be willing to put in the work as a community. I mean, that's the beginning right there.
Yeah.
To me, and it is. The community I live in is living proof. What she just said spoke volumes. You just can't wait and say the city do this, the city do that. It has to start in your community.
We were able to put a cap on our rentals there, and our property values shot up in the past
Okay,
2
they
years.
were, I'll recap just so people, they can hear. Basically, Councilwoman Anderson was saying that there's limited that the city can do because of Raleigh and the authority given to us when it comes to managing investors buying homes in neighborhoods and renting them. So and then they were chiming in that the city has an entire resource and tool set for neighborhoods to be able to have association bylaws or incorporate themselves in a way that they can protect themselves, meaning that you can cap the rental percentage in a neighborhood if you organize and get yourself together, basically, and you have more control than the city of Charlotte has over who purchases homes and how they use those homes in your neighborhood. That's basically the sum. And then a couple people were saying they have done that and that
So Monica, I'm sorry. First of all, I'm sorry, guys. My name is Dante Henderson. I'm your Charlotte City Council.
Get the microphone, we can't hear you.
Okay, you hear me now? Okay, great. I'm sorry, someone just reminded me. My name is Dante Henderson. I am your Charlotte City Council representative for District 1. And I've been sitting back here for a while just listening. I don't want to derail the conversation because Monica and her team has like fantastic information about what's going on in the corridors. And as I mentioned earlier, I think you'll be very excited about some of the things that will occur as it relates to this motel nucleus that we have here at the interchange. I'm a Charlotte native, born and raised. I've seen it. I've been here. My brother and my sister-in-law live in Derita. I've raised my twin nephews here for well over 2 decades, so I'm very entrenched in Derita and what's been going on over the years. It sounds like we have a topic for another meeting, right? Because, and we're here for it. I'm here for it. The city staff is here for it, around how we can arm you, right, and the rest of the corridor, including Ms. Parker with the Hidden Valley Association. If you don't know her, she's there. But together, you guys really sort of interlock the interchange, right, between Sugar Creek and 85, and really create that cluster of the neighborhood that surrounds that area. So we're happy to have another, if you guys want to have another meeting to talk about the tools and toolkits that the city has, we can have to come out, I'll come out, we'll have city staff come out and share with you what we have. In the meantime, you can look it up on the YouTube channel, charlotteclt.gov on the YouTube channel to see what we've done previously, but we can have something here. But I didn't want to derail all of the good news that Monica and her team had about what's going on in this corridor right now. So that's all I wanted to say, but we're happy to have you come back out and have other staff.
Yeah.
I can see Lamont in there.
Yeah, I just want, but if you're sneaking out, I wanted to say thank you for coming. Don't sneak out. Don't sneak out. I thought you were going to get up and speak.
Hey everybody, I'm Luana. I serve you at large on council. I'm here to listen and in support of my district representative.
Yes. Well, before you leave, thank you very much for coming. I was saving my And thank you, Commissioner Dunlap. I see you in the back too, so thank you for coming. And yeah, also thank you for coming. Yeah. Thank you for coming, Councilperson Mayfield. I really appreciate it. And also, Councilperson Anderson, very much appreciate it. I don't think I missed anybody else that was elected. So I will wrap up because I think there are a couple more updates. And that for 2023, we are very focused on continuing all of this work in Sugar Creek. You are about to see a flurry of things happening. That will continue for 4 to 5 years. Transportation projects take a long time to get completely built. So we will be back with updates on how all of these things are happening. You'll see Safe Biz starting to hit the airwaves and kind of more information about the organizations and the businesses that are in those. You will see we're about to ramp up our communication effort, our outreach effort, which is being led by Aisha. You'll see more of her. She has formed many great relationships at both the intersection and with adjacent communities. And please just stay in touch. You'll see more on the things we discussed about the interchange and the hotels, the Opportunity Hub launch. You'll see all those things. We will be here to answer questions afterwards too, so please feel free and come up. I know some people ask them during that, but I want to be conscientious about your agenda and time and make sure you have time for your updates. Thank you very much for inviting us, and thank you very much to our elected officials who came this evening. It's much appreciated to have support.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you very much, Monica and Aisha. And I was going to recognize our elected officials, and I'm glad that you guys did. Thank you for coming. We have one more thing. Hashim, just one little update that we are working on that we're going to share in this meeting is we are working on a grant application to put a mural on the big ice building across from Food Lion. And Hashim is leading that effort. Thank you, Hashim. And I'll let you explain a little bit more.
Yeah, so we have this square.
Might use the mic, yeah.
So I'm Hashim. I'm an architect. I live in Derita. I run a makerspace behind my property. So I just love creativity, and I want to spread creativity to this community. So we're submitting our application for a mural at the Zippy Ice factory. Thanks to Christine at Zippy Ice for agreeing to it. So we have this sheet. This will help our application if you guys all want to sign it. This is going to be a community project. You guys are all going to get input before we start painting if we get the grant. So I'm excited for it, and I think you guys are really going to like it. It's going to give Derita a great sign and identity when you come in up North Grand. So.
Thank you. All right, thanks. That is everything for tonight. Nadine has something.
Yes. I'm here on behalf of Artwell Health. It's at the intersection of Grand and Sugar Creek. It's in the old Eckert building. Friday, March 17th, they're having a St. Patrick's Day party. They want everybody who's over the age of 55 and older to come and enjoy. It's from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. There'll be different activities, games, giveaways, music, prizes, and refreshments. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's one on every table.
Okay, I see another hand up. Introduce. Yeah.
My name is Tanya Faison. I am the president of the Derita Athletic Association down the street here. We are trying to find ways to get plugged into the community. We've been around for a number of years, but we've kind of been working in a silo off to ourselves. But I think it's really important that we get plugged into the community and get ourselves out there and try to find a way to build those partnerships. So if there are any events or anything that would be good opportunities for us to be involved in, please let me know. We'd love to be a part of it.
Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight. Make sure you signed in just so that we know who was here. And the next meeting will be on Zoom, the next first Thursday at 9 a.m. And then we will do an in-person public meeting will be June 1st, the first Thursday in June. And we'll hope to put together a good agenda. Perhaps we can tackle that, the neighborhoods and the investor situation, the rentals that Ms. Anderson was talking about. But we'll figure out the agenda for June 1st, and hope you guys enjoyed coming out. Feel free to continue to catch up a little bit. We'll just be moving out in the next 15 minutes or so. I see a couple more hands.
Will the slides be shared for tonight?
Yes, we've recorded the meeting, and I believe we'll get some slides as well. Look on our YouTube channel, all our meetings are recorded. And stay in touch, get involved. Thank you.